SLU-PP-332 for bodybuilding. So if you think of bodybuilding, it's about building muscle, removing fat, so you can see what's underneath it all. And it's one of the most important tools in performance space is to address how to get rid of fat and how to build muscle. And SLU-PP-332 touches on something different. And in this video, we're going to talk about this mitochondrial infrastructure that determines how your muscle cells produce energy, what fuel they prefer, and how long they can sustain this high output work before failing. And so if you're a bodybuilder, or maybe you're somebody who's just into longevity or fitness, or you're an endurance athlete who just wants to have that edge, or if you're just somebody who wants a little better energy and wants some motivation for the gym, which those days I have those as well. So I'm Regan Archibald. I'm the founder of Ageless Future. We are a longevity medicine clinic, and we have medical programs that include performance-based protocols that are designed around your blood labs. So for those of you who are looking for a great medical team who understands peptides and knows what you're dealing with and listens and runs the right test at the right time, just go to agelessfuture.com and meet my team. So bodybuilders out there, we don't have any human data on this. And so if you look at this through the mechanistic case, I was so excited about SLU-PP-332 when I first found out about it that I reached out to one of my pharmacy friends. I was able to get some, and I was able to increase my endurance substantially. Now, if you think about what it does, it works on this estrogen-related receptors, and it works on 3 of them simultaneously, the alpha, the beta, and the gamma. And what researchers have learned is that this activates skeletal muscle in different ways. So when you're working on these type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, they found that type 1 are these slow twitch muscle fibers that are densely packed with mitochondria. And this is something I don't hear a lot of bodybuilders talking about, which is mitochondria. But in the longevity circles, I just came back from a group called Da Vinci 50, and we were learning about all the cool progress in longevity medicine, like gene transcripts, modifying the genome. I mean, that was very interesting listening to Elizabeth Parrish talk about that. We heard from Dr. Rosen. He runs the Cleveland Clinic wellness side. He's written 14 books with Dr. Oz here. We hear about a lot of mitochondria in those circles, but like Elizabeth Parrish, her company has basically keeps PGC1 alpha just turned on all the time. So you have this complete mitochondria reprogramming and also this telomerase protocol, which is very fascinating. But once again, that's way too far into the future right now to safely use it. But something like SLU-PP-332 is what I think you'll hear bodybuilders of the future be talking much more about, because, you know, when you can activate these type 1, these slow twitch muscle fibers, and then you've got the type 2A, which are the fast twitch muscle fibers, now you're capable of both aerobic and anaerobic work. And you can do that without significant fatigue resistance, which if you think about these fast twitch muscle fibers, they're more glycolytic, they're power dominant, but they fatigue quickly. That's why you can sprint for maybe 100 meters, like Usain Bolt sprint really fast, but he couldn't sprint that speed around the entire track. And that's because these muscles, they fatigue quicker. The conventional bodybuilding approach has historically focused on hypertrophy of these fast twitch muscle fibers through progressive overload. And this is great when you're building, but for elite performance and longevity in the sport, it requires where you've got a strong aerobic base. And that means recovering between sets, recovering from session to session, metabolic efficiency when you're at rest, and the ability to sustain volume all depend on one thing, which is your oxidative capacity. Now, the thing about SLU-PP is it shifts the expression of skeletal muscle toward oxidative muscle types, specifically increasing these type 2A oxidative fiber composition. So this is your foundation, this is your base. That's why when you start at the higher reps, you tend to produce a little more of these type 2 high endurance muscles. And it's SLU-PP-332, it's not inducing hypertrophy in a preclinical data. They found that lean mass was unchanged in the metabolic syndrome model, but what it was doing is changing the metabolic character of existing muscle, making it more endurance capable, more fat oxidizing, and more mitochondrial dense. And so if you think about this, this is why these mice, when giving a single administration of SLU-PP-332, they could run almost 70% farther. Now, every bodybuilder knows that training adaptation requires mitochondrial biogenesis. You just may not not know the terminology of the creation or formation of new mitochondria, because the more mitochondria that you have, that means the greater the ATP production, or adenosine triphosphate, and that's your energy units. And when you have more ATP, you're going to recover faster, you're going to be able to do harder sets, you're going to push yourself farther, you're going to have better lactate clearance, and more efficient use of fuel during training. This is gold standard. So what SLU-PP-332 does, and it was discovered first out of University of Florida, a lot of work done out of St. Louis University as well, but they discovered that it activates the ERR alpha's regulatory loop. And so these are these estrogen-related receptors that regulate mitochondrial biogenesis. So it's this gold mine for having healthy muscles, specifically on the type 2A muscle fibers. But it does that through PGC1 alpha. This is a central driver of mitochondrial biogenesis. In the 2023 study, these treated mice, they ran 70% longer and 45% farther than controls. The gene activated included fatty acid oxidation pathways. They found that there was more oxidative phosphorylation expression. There was fiber type transition towards oxidative capacity. And so together, when they worked on the alpha, the beta, and the gamma pathways, they found that this regulation, it was both innate and adaptive mitochondrial energetics in a manner that tracks with exercise-induced adaptation. So with these mice, what they found is they just fed these mice, these obese mice, this like crap diet. Like just think of processed foods, Doritos, Coke, all the things. They fed them this very high diet in saturated fat and trans fats. Then one group got SLU-PP, the other group didn't. And the group that got SLU-PP burned fat 10 times more effectively and efficiently while eating the same diet. So I don't know that that's going to translate into humans, folks. So don't adopt that diet, even if you do get your hands on some SLU-PP. But for a bodybuilder, someone who, you really are interested in body composition, and I just started working with Alan Dick. He's a trainer in phenomenal program. I've been really excited about it, but I also have said, well, I'm going to use peptides to enhance my capabilities. And then he wants me to get peptides going, my team at Ageless Future to get peptides going for his clients as well, because he's seeing the benefits of having these endurance-capable aerobic base and as resting metabolic rate so you can recover faster and get your workouts in. So if you think about this from a fat loss perspective, at least in the mice models, it was relative to these competitive physiques that athletes have. They found that they were able to achieve these greater levels of conditioning without this severe caloric deficit. Many of you bodybuilders you've seen, and I've seen in working with many of you over the years, is when you go on that caloric deficit, you can have a massive breakdown in some of this lean tissue for fuel. And yes, you get nice and trimmed out, you get shredded, I think is the word. But with SLU-PP, maybe we could find a way that you could increase this fat oxidation without requiring this deep caloric deficit, which in some cases I've seen it throw off people's thyroid, and your metabolic system just completely hits a wall, your adrenal glands, because you're in this caloric deficit for so long. Now the adrenal glands just are completely fatigued because your body's continually doing what's called gluconeogenesis. So in the metabolic study of SLU-PP-332 with metabolic syndrome, these treated obese mice, they lost 12% of their body weight with 28 days. And that's when they were eating this complete diet of garbage. And I know you bodybuilders, you're very specific on what you put into your body. But if we think through the lens of what if we could increase your mitochondrial biogenesis, and could SLU-PP-332 help you get there? Yes, absolutely. Is it ready for human use? I don't know, but we do have a great medical team. Go to agelessfuture.com. They'll help you figure out what peptides, what stacks are going to be best based on what your goals are and how your labs look. And for those of you who love this video on SLU-PP, I've got another one on MOD-SC and how to use MOD-SC. And all you need to do is go to the link below. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you on the next video.